Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Quite the continuation from yesterday. Pico, Wall Dive, El Supremo, how you doing? Good morning, good morning. And go and get all those edgeful stats, get all the alerts out for stream. Make sure that I get that giveaway finalized as well. All right. What's going on, Caleb? Simon, how you doing? John Wayne, Steve. Good morning. El Supremo, Patrick, Samir, Wall Dive, Pikel, how you doing? Morning, Gobo. Gobot. Rod Plus, good morning. How you doing? What's going on, AO Trades? Trading markets, what's going on? Okay, let me get all the data pulled up for today as well. Not that it does anything, adds any volatility, but today, Thursday, we have 2 data points at 10 and then 4 speakers. And that's it. Consumer credit at 3 o'clock, that won't really do anything. All in all, not really much from any data reads. Nothing we can do with it. Just kind of watch it. Know that we have it at 10. Are you trading today with NFP tomorrow? Probably not. We're going to look for the IB. I was going to cover that later on in the stream. NFP on Thursdays is the reason that NFP on Fridays, sorry. Thursdays have lower data. And this is over multiple years as well. 64% versus 75. It's not really that significant of a data point for us to go and play, especially if the high forms first. This one has a pretty significant chance to lose, being down at 64%. And it really doesn't get altered very much if you go back to 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. The further back you go, the longer you look at the data for the IB, it should be at like 76%. So Thursday being 3% below on the high forming first, and then maybe like 3 to 4% below on the low forming first. The trend may change. I will look at it today regardless, but probably not going to go all that aggressive into the IB for today because we have NFP tomorrow and we don't trade before NFP. Are you ready to buy the dip today? This little red candle right here? Yeah, absolutely. NFP doesn't even really do anything for a data report. If you guys went to our last one, which was April 3rd. So if we go and jump to April 3rd last month, go to, this was our NFP read. Can you guys point out to me where NFP would have been on this day? For April 3rd, sorry. Where's April 3rd? Was it a long weekend? Oh, yeah, that's right. That was the day that we still had the NFP data report, but the market was closed at 9:15. We'll go to April 3rd still on MNQ. All right, that's much better. This was the weird day where the market was only open for 45 minutes. So this was our last NFP data report. If I zoom out, can you guys point out to me where NFP came out? NFP highs, lows give great continuations. I actually plan for reversals. If price takes the high out before it takes the low, you usually go and target the low and vice versa. But anyway, my point here is that this was 8:30. This was our data read for NFP last month. That was a mere 120 points, not even 120 points, 117 points. Now, if we go and copy this, and we'll go back to our current market, and we'll draw out 117 points. Should be 85. There we go. That was our NFP read from last month right there. And if we go and draw that over any of the moves we've been making, even today's pre-market move, this is the move that we made at 3 a.m. for London this morning. This is nothing significant. Not significant at all for NFP. What we used to get for NFP, you guys remember, not even that long ago, like 3 months ago, 4 months ago, NFP used to come out and read a move like that. We'd have quite literally a 200 to 300 point move wick to wick on NFP, and then it would reverse from the highs or the lows, vice versa. Now we don't get any of that. What's going on, OG? Morning, Pip T. How you doing? Congratulations on your payout, by the way. So that data read tomorrow doesn't really impact how we trade tomorrow. It just impacts what we do for the day before, which kind of stinks. Today, we're not really going to be that aggressive on the IB. At the very least, we had a beautiful, beautiful trade yesterday on it. I know I sold it a couple points before that all the high got taken because SPY went and took the high a lot earlier. We can see, go and put the IB indicator on. We can see that SPY took the high much, much earlier than Q's did. Q's still got a continuation. Real time when we were looking at the 1 minute from yesterday, it did get a pretty nasty rejection when SPY took the high. So I sold it right at 690.24. We had like a 30-point rejection, 20-point rejection, and then it went and took the high. And I know I should hold it for full TP, but it was 280. We missed out on another $20 not holding it. I'm not too disappointed with that. The point being, what I've said all week this week, if the IB is taken on one of the assets and not the other one, we still want to go and secure that. There's no reason for us to not play the confluence. There we go. For today, we don't really have any. We have almost nothing to look at for pre-market, unfortunately. We're right at previous day's high. Previous day's high was right into close on SPY and Qs. So there's our previous day's high on SPY. This is either going to be an outside or inside day into open. Either way, we're gonna take the level right at open. It's 18 cents off on SPY. Q's same exact thing. This one's more likely going to be in out. Well, actually, no, it's identical. So we don't have anything to look at right now. I'm sorry. We don't have any bias into open. We do have another 17 minutes. Either way, over the next 17 minutes, this is either going to wick down a little tiny bit or it's going to wick up and be an outside day. That's it. Gap fill by size. We have a pretty much 100% chance if it's a gap up, 13 out of 13. Not saying that it's an actual 100% chance, but the trend with these gaps up has been them getting filled. Either way, we inside or outside day, we're going to go and wick down to it, probably fill the gap on both SPY and Qs. They're well within that first bracket, and then we'll have a continuation based off that. I can't imagine it's going to be all that aggressive today. NFP tomorrow, it's usually pretty choppy. And keep in mind, we are also trading at a whopping 28,730 right now. Morning, Zinc. Morning, Dare Maximus. I just read your comment. I got a bug bite in my leg last night. Tick bite. Ouch. Have you ever traded the IB on gold? I've tried it several times. It's just not as good of a trade, sadly. I've never tried it on MCL. I've never tried it on YM. I've only ever traded the IB on M and Q. I have traded it on gold. It's just not really that good of a trade, especially during New York. If you go and take a look at the past 2 days, gold lost on the IB yesterday, had the low form first into the high, and then the same exact thing on Tuesday. And we do not trade gold during New York session. And then almost the same thing on Monday too. Monday did have a double break, but it just barely took the high with a couple cents and then came crashing back down. So I do not trade it on gold, especially during New York session. There's no reason to. Do you have a course? We're actually coming out with one with edgeful relatively soon. I think they're going to get me the finalized details to it today. Can't believe it's already May too. This year is cooking right now. A lot of tech semiconductor stocks at all-time highs. Everything's at all-time highs, man. Almost everything. Bitcoin's lagging quite a bit. Fair enough. I'm new to the IB. Found you via Ash. I'm assuming you got some good videos on your page. Yes, I do. It will just be me on stream today. James is currently traveling to the US. So you guys are stuck with me for a Thursday. Got 12 minutes into open. I'm kicking myself for selling socks on what I did. I can't believe I own these shares at 14. I definitely would have sold a long while ago. A long ways ago. Good morning, Nate. How you doing? A little bounce into open here. Crude oil's way down again. So outside day is what we're looking at now. With that outside day, what's going to happen? I can go and get this in. So our outside day, we're going to go down to previous day's high. Should go down to previous day's high for both SPY and Qs. It's barely above previous day's high. Once we take that, then we'll have a continuation to the upside, but it's not that aggressive of a moving day because of NFP tomorrow. Good morning, good morning. What's going on, Sarah? Congratulations to everyone that won that giveaway yesterday. Good morning. Which 5 indicators do you have on the SPY chart? So I can put them on mine and follow along. One of them, honestly, I only use one of them. VWAP is on here. I almost never have that on. Edgeful IB by levels. This is just your extension on the IB. 0.5, 1, 1.5 standard deviations. Edgeful IB initial balance breakout. Volume. Sometimes I flick it on. And then T-Trade's fractal model, which I don't really ever use either. You've never ever won any giveaways. Did you reach out to hello@edgeful.com yesterday? Hopefully. What are your thoughts when you say QQQ shows outside and NQ shows inside? They're both outside. It's not possible for NQ and QQQ to be diverged that much. They're both outside days. QQQ and NQ are the same asset, just so you know. Yes, got a credit because I'm an algo sub. Nice. Beautiful. Just about into open here. And another 7 minutes. Okay, I don't see too much for our data going into tomorrow that's outside of NFP. I don't see too much that's going to impact this. For today, we can still take a look at that IB. Probably not going to play it all that aggressively, unfortunately. I apologize. That being said, we can still theorize which way it's going to break to. We just don't want to jump in front of. It's a big rule that I've had, not trading before NFP, especially on a Thursday where the data is a little bit lower than it should be. I mean, we just took a look at once we get into the initial balance breakout. Also, a little teaser for you guys today. After either today or tomorrow, at the very latest by the end of this week, there will be a course on the IB in Edgeful's free content. So if you guys go to free resources at Edgeful, which should be, if I can find it. Not any of the get started. Hold on. Just a second. I have the link to it here. Give me a minute. Jumping on a little bit. Copy link. Go here. So if you guys go to free resources at edgeful.com, edgeful.com/free-resources, they're coming up next week. At very latest at the end of this week, there's going to be a Mr. Zinc IB course right here, top left, or maybe down here as well. But you guys can go and run through that. It will be a PDF where you can go and click on really any of these, like start learning. You just enter your email, tells you all the paths, what you get with it. Free resource on here. And then if you guys are interested in getting Edgeful, it will direct you through to a screen where you can go and pay for it. I'm on an MCL. I'm in Q today, please. So pretty excited for that to come out later this week. You take notes, but it would be good to see it all in one place. Yeah, so if you guys want that again, it is, I won't say the whole website URL, but edgeful.com // actually. Is it a forward slash or a backwards one? Probably forward. / free dash resources. We are going to do, I'm going to reach out to them real quick, actually. I'll wait for an answer before I say what I was about to. Anyway, for today, not going too aggressive with the IB. We go into the reports. We go to QQQ, IB by rejection for a Thursday. Customize down to a Thursday. You can see that the stats are pretty low for the high forming first, which has happened the past several Thursdays, high form first. 3 out of the past 4 Thursdays, we've had the high form first into the low. So for those days, also there's our open. For those days that we do have the high forming first, they're not really that significant for us to play, unfortunately. And it's happened 4 out of the past 5, 3 out of the past 4, whichever way you want to look at it. All right, we're looking for price to come down and hit both previous day's highs, SPY and Qs. Loving Lucid and TradeFi. Do you have a third choice, maybe between My Funded Futures and Take Profit Trader? My Funded Futures is the third one. I haven't expanded too much to them. Honestly, I've been trading a little poorly. So I haven't. Anytime I'm trading poorly, I do not go and size up into another lot of positions. Meaning I don't go and, okay, I'm trading poorly, it's time for me to go add some more accounts and trade 3 different props at a time. But Lucid, top one, not top one futures. Lucid is my top prop firm right now. Tradeify, and then My Funded Futures. There is almost hit it. Just barely missed it. We hit 695.94. Previous day's high is 695.92. So we missed it by 2 cents. You guys can also go and use code Zinc at any of those 3. That will get you the same discount, whatever they have going on. Not sure if anyone actually knows this, but the people that post online, you get the best discounts with their code. You get the same discount regardless of what code you use. You can use code DASH, which is like what Tradeify has right now for their sale, or you can use Zinc and it gets you the same sale. The only benefit is that I get a little bit of kickback from it. That's the benefit to trading prop firms that way or using that code. stalled out a little bit right now. It should very easily go and take previous day's low. We have a 11-point opening candle on gold. Gold's not, I say it all the time, it's not something that I want to trade during New York, but this one's been relatively stagnant with wherever the pre-market range is. If you guys do trade gold, my analysis on this is just with where the pre-market range is established, it does not like to go outside of that. We've had one day out of the past 2 days, hold on, we've had 3 days over the past 3 weeks. So 1 day a week where price continues outside of that pre-market range. That's it. Actually, only 2. This one was that was our 9:30 candle, 9 o'clock candle. So that was still pre-market, and we stayed within that. So 2 days out of the past 3 weeks. We go even further back. 3 days out of 4 weeks. That's overnight session. So that one doesn't really do anything. 3 days over the past 4 weeks where price has broken out of the pre-market range. Today could be one of them. We could wick back down and come below pre-market high here. And this could be the 4th day over the past 4 weeks. All I'm getting at is that price on these assets, it doesn't really look like it's continuing outside of that range. So it's stuck in whatever range it forms pre-market with very little continuation. Just keep that in mind if you are actively trying to trade gold. It's at pre-market high right now, so I doubt it's probably going to continue up that much. Also, we barely missed that outside day range on Qs. SPY's in it right now. SPY's filling it. Qs is much stronger. Probably means that Qs is going to be snapping down here shortly. I would think that we get like a 40-point, 50-point drop coming up on Qs. Qs doesn't usually diverge with SPY. If SPY and Qs are diverging, Qs will almost always catch up to what SPY is doing. Almost never the opposite way around. Anyone trade with funding ticks? Didn't they close down? Didn't funding ticks close? Is the IB win rate the same as it was a few months ago, or is there any change? It's a little bit lower recently. Actually, I wouldn't say the win rate is lower on the IB. The win rate's about the same as it was. There's just not as many entries. So we're winning the same amount as we were on the IB. We just don't have the same amount of entries on the IB. I know that sounds a little confusing. It's not playing out as well as it was because it's a tight range in the market. We don't have much for continuation potential. The overall trend has been remarkably bullish. So the IB, it's winning the same amount. It's just not offering as many entries. Yesterday, we got an entry. The day before that, we missed our long because it was 10-10, 10-20. The day before that, we had a long bias. We just missed our fill by 2 points. Last Friday, I got a fill. Thursday was a loss last week, but I did end up flipping bias to long because SPY took the IB high. Qs was almost at the midpoint. The overall statement I'm making here is that the win rate is the same. It hasn't. We can go to the 6-month time frame, and we can see that Thursdays are the lowest one because of NFP. But any other weekday, it's about the same. Even if we want to go to all weekdays, it's about 70% across the board, 69 and 77%. The only difference is the entry criteria has decreased. We're not getting as many entries on the IB for whatever reason, maybe it's because the market's so bullish. I personally think that the reason we're not getting as many entries is because the market has been making the majority of its moves overnight in pre-market. And then once we get to New York session, we don't really have any movement. Great example from 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, actually. Now it's been going on for a while. We made the entire move pre-market, bullish IB. It broke the IB high. Not really that large of a move for us to play, though. We had midpoint entry of $1.50 on Q, so that's 60 points, 120 point range on the IB. Same exact thing on Friday, April 24th, but you can see the IB is also outlined with the indicator, the green and red lines. And then we can see the entire overnight move that we had was almost 3 times as large as the IB we got into that Friday. And this has been the trend for several weeks now. That's what I think is going on with the IB. I think it's fine. It's working well. It's just not giving us much for entries, unfortunately. Q's is currently set bullish, but SPY is lagging behind significantly. I think Q should probably turn around here soon. Again, Q's does not typically inverse what SPY is doing. Usually they're going in the same direction. I'm trying to get edgeful to provide the specific data, but backtests are showing a great chance of reversal on the IB if it happens after 11. That's pretty good analysis. I mean, there's many things that you can include with the IB in terms of when you want to enter it, size that you want to go in with. I do not like to trade the IB if it hasn't broken before 11 o'clock, just because of kind of what you're saying. There's a really strong chance that it goes and reverses or it doesn't take that level. What is the email I can use when I won? It is hello@edgeful.com, and then send them a screenshot. In that email, send a screenshot of your YouTube login. Bullish on Q, still rather bearish on SPY. Very interesting. Qs, I still think should start reversing here soon. Again, it does not like to diverge with SPY, typically. I think we should also come down and take that outside day stat. In the edgeful, what's in play target gets hit. In edgeful, when a what's in play target gets hit, how does that impact the overall daily bias? Does it reinforce the bias? It usually goes off of the measure. So if we go and take a look at what's in play, there's a reversal back down a little bit, by the way, on Qs. Not all that aggressive, but it should come down and still take out that outside day stat. I don't think it's going to continue to reverse or inverse what SPY is doing. So if we go and take a look at what's in play, this indicator, it gets a little bit, it gets changed ever so slightly when one of the what's in play gets validated or invalidated. So for your question, it does somewhat further validate it. If we have a 50% split, and let's say Apple with the short bias does go and take previous day's high, it's a bullish outside day, reversal on Thursday, 100%. Bias is short off of that, so the target's 288.03. If it goes and hits 288.03, then this confirms the short bias, and this checks off, and this stays as a bearish bias. If it does not hit it, it does still stay short for the bias because it's still targeting that all the way until close. So once it's hit it I would say it actually inverses what the data is doing. Now, Andre may have more information on this than I do. I don't really use the what's in play or the screener that much. But I do know that when I'm using just the regular screener, when one of the levels gets validated, you can see on the screener it has tabs that says target hit, target not hit. For instance, all these gap fills, Apple bearish, gap up 0.5%, target 287.55. Fill time, not filled, fill time 9:30, 9:30, 9:31. This is countering what the stat is showing, if it's not filled or if it's filled, but this can go all the way until 3:45 in the afternoon without filling, and then it fills at 3:55, and that bias is still going to be short or bearish. And then it shows you all these stats right here: gap filled, gap not filled, gap filled, not filled, not filled, filled, filled. So it does alter it ever so slightly, but there's not really anything you can do with that data. If it validates it, great, that's your price target hit. But if it doesn't, you're waiting all the way until whatever time in the afternoon, 3:50, 3:45, and then it has until 4 o'clock to either say it broke, it hit the target, or it did not hit the target. So it's tricky to read in that aspect. I don't really use it all that much for that reason. If it goes and hits the target, great. Is it still a bearish bias once the target's hit, though? Probably not. It's the same thing with the IB, too. Once the IB breaks, if the IB's bullish, we're targeting the high. If the IB's bearish, it's bearish, we're targeting the low. Once the high or low gets hit, you're no longer looking at the same bullish or bearish stat, though. Also, there is our reversal back down. SPY is leading the way, which it typically does. Qs does not like to inverse what SPY is doing. Does not like to go out on a limb on its own. I imagine we get down to that previous day's high stat on Qs. It's 720 right now. $28,720 is what previous day's high is sitting at. Just about there. There we go. Previous day's high taken. Beautiful. Curious if you're hitting bear targets, if it reinforces as bearish. It kind of does. I'll draw an example right here. If you are long on the IB, for instance, this is our IB trade right here. And this may not be what Andre's answer to it would be, but this is what my opinion on the what's in play stats is. So we have our bullish IB, the IB low form first, the IB high form second. We get a perfect entry at the midpoint, and it goes right to the high. This is an ideal setup on what the IB should do. Gap fill stat hit on both SPY and Qs as well. Very high percent chance that happened, and it did. For the IB again, this is bullish, right? Once the IB is broken, we go over to the reports. Once the IB is broken, you're looking at a completely different set of stats. So you have a 78% that it breaks one level. You have a 17% chance that it's a double break. However, with the IB by rejection, this is only telling us what happens when the IB breaks the high or low. Once it is broken, you can go and look at the IB by retracement, and this tells you the odds of having a retracement. For instance, on a Monday, you have a 50% chance to go to 50% of the IB, albeit there's not really that many data points for these stats, but for the days that it does retrace, it usually goes that far. This isn't bullish if it comes back down, is it? So if the price retraces, goes all the way back down to the IB 50 or the IB 75, the indicator's still, the what's in play is still going to be saying what's bullish about the IB is that it broke the high. It's still going to have a bullish read. and then you go and look at the chart and prices come down $2 to the 25% or 75% of the IB, and then it goes back up, or it never comes back up. And we had the same example on where is it? Same example on Monday this week. So the inside bar stat. Inside bar is neutral, and then you wait for the IB to tell you if it's bullish or not. Once you break the inside bar, that gives you your what's in play indicator. So when you break the inside bars, you go do inside bar by breakout, and it tells you that you only have an 8% chance that price goes and hits the opposing level. There's only an 8% chance that both previous day's high and low is hit. That would give us a bullish bias on Monday because we took previous day's high. There's only an 8% chance that we go to previous day's low. But what happened was this said, screw you, I'm going to go all the way to 20 cents over previous day's low, and then I'm going to bounce from there. So it's still technically a bullish bias, but it was bearish the entire day. It never hit the level that would have made it a bearish bias. Sorry about the dog barking in the back. Now that previous day's high has been taken, we should have a pretty strong bounce. However, SPY is being very weak right now. Back to yesterday's high on MES, played out according to data. Yeah, I thought that was a great read on MNQ. Obviously, I didn't play it because it was too early, but knowing that SPY is usually the one that's telling the truth. QQQ very rarely likes to go out on its own. Very, very rarely. Keep that in your back pocket. That information in your back pocket for whatever you might use it for. But if you see them diverging, very rarely does it inverse. Very rarely does Qs go out on its own. I played it down to gap fill. Very nice, David. Buy dips you can't lose. This is a good bounce. I don't really know what's going on with SPY right now. SPY is extremely weak. But again, what I'm going to continue to restate all day today, SPY very rarely is the one that's lying. QQQ does not like to go out on its own, which is what it's doing right now. I want my diverged IB trade. Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. With that piece of information, the reports took MNQ short, target hit. Awesome, Steve. Very nice. Very, very nice. Q's definitely, I mean, it's definitely a bullish bias seeing the strength behind Q's right now, but I would want to see SPY also start picking it up. The good thing is the IBs are lined up. Bad thing is that we have NFP tomorrow, so there's not really much of a reason for us to go and trade this today. I apologize. Screener and what's in play is also leaning bearish right now. Use with that, but you might. What's in play I don't really use on edgeful, believe it or not. This is actually a pretty gnarly looking Italian flag right now, so it's not a super strong bias up or down. Small bounce. SPY's not getting any of it though. Very, very odd. Climbing way back up on Qs. Gold's not really doing too much. It's I'll pull this up on this chart. Gold is still within its pre-market range, which is what I was mentioning at the beginning of this segment, beginning of the stream. Gold does not like to break out of previous day's range, pre-market range, sorry, not previous day's range. It likes to stay within that. Only 3 days over the past 4 weeks has it broken out. Look at this pop back up on Qs. Cannot stop this thing. Bitcoin, what's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin's pulling back quite a bit. That's only down like 500. The only trading view indicator I have active is edgeful's IB, initial balance breakout. That's it. This is a tough read. Yeah, SPY is not getting any upside whatsoever. No upside at all. Looks like there's quite a, my phone's blowing up a little bit right now. Looks like there's quite a few resets coming in today. Told you NQ will drag ES up. I wouldn't say this is dragging ES up. ES is still dead in the water right now. Crazy move up on Qs though. We took that. That's usually what I like to see off of outside days. So you take previous day's high or previous day's low, and then you have an aggressive push off of that level. Qs is doing that perfectly. SPY is not. This is typically what happens the Thursday before NFP. Not saying that I saw it coming, but just based on the previous times we've played NFP, previous days that we've had Thursday before NFP, this is usually what happens. We support you, Zinc, but man, dudes be blowing accounts that first 30 minutes. It's crazy, isn't it? If people stop trading that first half an hour, it puts Zinc and all affiliates out of business on resets. It's crazy. It's a crazy stat. If people just analyzed what their best trading time frame is versus their worst, like I know that first 15 minutes, if I find myself even thinking about trading that first 15 minutes, I have a 60% chance of losing. That's the way that I view it. Or 60% of my losses that I had came from that first 15-minute candle, so I don't trade it anymore. Simple as that. We very well might hit 29,000 today. We're at 28.8 right now. We might. It's a possibility. I mean, it's a crazy thing to say, but it's a possibility to get 28. We're at 28.8 right now. I just hit it. Overnight high is 28,818. Crude just had a $2 wick, and it's right back down to being red on the day. Gold is still trapped within that previous day's range. Pre-market range, sorry, not previous day's range. And SPY is just chilling. Yeah, I'll take a look at my phone right now. We have 20 emails already from Tradeify. So that's 20 resets, and it's been 28 minutes into market open. I guess I should give the benefit of the doubt there. It may not just be resets. It could also be just new accounts being bought. I apologize. That could be false information. It may just be new accounts being bought. It might not be resets. But if I go and look at the email and it says $5 for the commission, then it's all resets. And people are going nuts today. So we are currently diverged on the IB. There's no bias here. We don't have an upside or downside bias. We're just waiting on the IB to give us its direction. Or we might not get any directional move at all. But remember, no trading the IB prior to NFP. There's no reason to. And this is typically the result, or typically what happens before NFP. This is why we don't trade it before NFP. Specifically the Thursday before NFP. There's no reason to. $7401/2 will be hit on ES no matter what. What's ES trading at right now? Take a look. MES is sitting at 14-point move up. That wouldn't be crazy. ES is dragging Qs down, but Qs is trying its hardest to remain bullish. Stay up where it is. There's some more continued action there. And Q to sweep London high and retrace back to midnight open. Definitely could. 698.11. That's the overnight session high as well. MNQ 814. Could definitely go up to that level. What was with that crazy extension yesterday? I think it was the news that we had. Pre-market, we had, well, technically overnight, we had news that that Project Freedom deal was in place. And I imagine the reason that we continued to push was because the market didn't get any bad news while that plan was in place. So what I mean by that is that let me look up what the stipulations of that deal were right now. The Project Freedom deal is that Iran continues to allow ships from all nations to go through the Strait of Hormuz to get oil, crude oil, bring it back to their country. The naval blockade that the U.S. has in place will stay in place. If things start going poorly, then the blockade steps back in and we go right back to the situation we had a couple weeks ago. This continuation yesterday, I think, was because we didn't get any bad news. We didn't get any updates or any posts saying, hey, the naval blockade has to step back in because they're not agreeing to what they said they were going to do. The market continued to buy it all day yesterday. because we didn't get any bad news. There was no reason for us to inverse what was going on. That's my explanation for it. Yesterday was also a pretty small range in the IB, so it was a good chance that we get a continuation, but the size of the continuation was extremely rare. We went all the way up to 1.5 standard deviations yesterday. And if we go over to IB by levels on the reports, initial balance by levels, QQQ, for a breakout day, we only have a 60. We've only had, let me go to a Wednesday actually, and I'll put it to all sizes. No, I can't. Oh yeah, I can actually. I'll put it to 0 to 1.5%. Save. Let's see. Yesterday was a Wednesday, so we only had a 69% chance of going. Honestly, that 7.5 was just probably put in yesterday for the breakout day. Bearish move happens more often. Yeah, the bearish ones happen more often. Andre mentioned this a little bit yesterday. The bearish moves happen more often simply because when we have a bearish move to the downside, it's usually based off news. So if you go to, and obviously we haven't had any recently, but when you have bad news come out, you really dump, and it's very, very fast. When you have good news come out, it usually just has a very slow, methodical move back to the upside, but bad news really whiplashes the market down, and that's why the extensions are so much higher. That's the only explanation I have for it. We're just hit that overnight open, 814. MES is back at 7394. We need MES to come all the way back up and take 735 though. So we need a ways. NQ is a beast, gives no pullbacks. Saudi Arabia got a problem with the use of bases for the US Army. Yeah, but that's not based on the naval blockade yesterday. Man, my phone is blowing up right now. I don't know why people would be struggling so bad today. But they are. Oh my gosh, Q's. Enough. Shattered that overnight open, by the way. And this is, I know I was saying all morning that Q's very rarely takes off on its own like this, but I mean, it is right now. I was wrong. So very wrong. Oh, it's MCL just went from 92 down to 90 flat. $2 move. So that's $2,000 on a single mini. Yes, the US needs the bases without Project Freedom German press. What is you looking for today? First off, we need SPY and Qs to line up for the IB, and then we can take a long. But yeah, I believe you, trading markets. We do have NFP tomorrow, so I'm not going to be that aggressive with the IB today. I may not even end up taking it, sadly. And Q's is still face ripping. Said, see you later. I am going to new all-time highs. Yeah, and NFP, CPI, PPI has no impact on the market anymore. I'm more so surprised that Qs is doing this on its own. SPY is not helping at all. Very rarely the case. Bitcoin's not really doing anything. Do I even want to look at semis? Does anyone know what semis are doing? Am I going to be sad when I pull up AMD? Nope. That's actually really strange. Why is AMD down 2? Oh, NVDA made it up. Actually, it's very... What's pushing Qs up then? Semiconductors are all down. Minus NVIDIA. NVIDIA's the only one up. Microsoft, maybe? Yeah, there you go. Microsoft and NVIDIA pushing Qs up. And SPY is getting dragged down by everything else. Very strange. Strange happenings. Seems like the rules are out. I usually short when we open above midnight open. Yeah, 29K is real. I can't believe we're blasting this fast through 28,000, but we are. And we're in a matter of 3 days, we're almost at 29,000. We're currently at 28,840. $29,000 is real. Tesla is pushing quite a bit. It's at 407. But Tesla doesn't have that significant of a weighting in Qs, which is the weird part. Didn't mean to open that tab. SPY is still not at a new IB high as well. Very odd. MCL is dying. All the way back down to 90 again. Gold's doing absolutely nothing. And Qs is yet again at a new high day while SPY is not moving at all. Short this? No. No, no, no. Do not do that. Don't do that. Don't be the guy that tries shorting all-time highs, I beg. Will SPY dump if QQQ drops? Yes, it should. If you want to know why I have so many resets with my affiliate links, it's because there's a lot of people that struggle with all-time high markets like this. And I hope you guys, I'm not saying what I'm getting on affiliates to gloat or anything. I'm saying it to, it helps me significantly. If I see a whole bunch of people blowing their accounts, I know something's a little fishy for the day, especially if I'm not even looking at the market, which I usually am. But the point being, if loads of people are blowing their accounts and then you go and look at the market and what's the market doing, we're irrationally moving towards all-time highs while SPY is doing nothing. My guess is there's a significant amount of people right now, especially with that comment right there, a significant amount of people that are shorting these all-time highs right now. So there's no bias behind why they're going long or short. They are just, hey, I'm going to go short because there's no way SPY is going higher. There's no way that Qs is going higher. That's the only confirmation they have to going in that direction. Yeah, the divergence on SPY and Qs is crazy right now. They're not even remotely close to each other. I'm not trading it anyway because we have NFP tomorrow. So there's no reason for me to step in front of data that's one, diverge, but two, we also have NFP, and that is a hard rule for myself to not trade before NFP. Yeah, not the craziest divergence I've seen, but it's pretty bad. I said this multiple times at the beginning of the segment. I rarely see SPY and Qs diverge, especially Qs in the lead like this. Typically, they're going in the same direction. That's why it's a rule for us to make sure SPY and Qs are lined up to take the IB trade, but very rarely is Qs the one that's leading the way and SPY is the one that's lying. Whether you want to call it SMT, divergence, whatever it is, Leo makes a great point of it when he has his segments on lives. If you take a look at the market and how the market typically reacts with YM or ES or NQ, NQ is almost always the lagging indicator and ES is almost always the leading indicator. Now, we did get the gap fill stat on both of them. Q's got the much better reaction off of that previous day's high. But what I'm getting at is that for any other day, any other ordinary day, 9 times out of 10, you're going to see Qs get dragged back down to where SPY is. We do not see Qs do this where it's incredibly bullish and SPY is just dying in the back. So what that means is that there's something going on with some of the other holdings on SPY. If we bring up the QQQ heat map, my guess is it's probably healthcare. So we're taking a look at, everyone can see that. The only red stocks right now, Avgo, AMD, Texas Instruments, ARM, and then some other smaller semiconductors, SunDisk, STK, LRCX, lab research. Semiconductors as a whole are red, but NVIDIA is countering that with the weighting. Now, if we compare this to SPY's heat map, there should be a massive divergence in the bottom right that shows a huge amount of red, which is exactly what's going on. Avgo, Texas Instruments, semiconductors are still red on SPY. Bottom right is almost entirely red. You have a few green tickers in the mix, but Amazon, Google, JP Morgan, Caterpillar, ExxonMobil, pretty much all of energy is bright red because the Strait of Hormuz is getting opened back up. That's leading to us having this divergence right now. So this heat map looks a lot weaker than this heat map. Just the color basis on it as well. But as you can see too, Tesla doesn't really have that significant of a holding in Qs. If anything, it's more significant in SPY. It's a lot bigger than some of these other holdings, but it's Tesla I don't put that much emphasis on. We're at 699 now. What the heck? We're gonna go hit 700 today. 100%. You and Ash continue to convict me to trade less and smarter. Sad to say, although I'm down from 300 scalping trades per session. 300 plus trades per session scalping. Wow. Yeah, it's a little tough. Well, option sellers, it would be no different than us blindly going long. Another 5 emails. Some of these are also with Tradeify's package plan, the 5 resets that you can get at once, or the 5 accounts you can get at once. Well, do you guys understand how rare this is? I'm sounding like a broken record, but SPY's not moving at all. And Qs is continuously making new all-time highs, new high days, which are new all-time highs. This is so rare to have this divergence and have Qs be the one that's leading the way The only thing that I'm a little spooked about is that SPY is usually more accurate with the IB on these days. Even though they are diverged, I'll go and bring up that edgeful AI point. Even though they are diverged, when they are diverged, there's a 0% chance they go and break in the right direction. I would be a little worried that Qs would go and break this downside, in all honesty. Too bad you can't see how I'm here due to folks shorting NQ. I would bet it's all of them. Gold's not really moving enough. I'll go and bring up the MGC chart. Gold's not really moving enough for people to blow accounts on this. These are the total range on gold today is like 14 points. So unless you're going in with five minis, that's the only instance that you're going to blow your account today. It could be the case. MCL is moving more than enough for you to make a profit. Everyone may be longing this. I don't know. This wick may have stopped a lot of people out. I would put a lot of money on the fact that most of the blown accounts that are going to happen today are from people shorting NQ. Especially for anyone that goes and looks at ES along with NQ, or even anyone that goes and looks at the Dow, because the Dow is also bright red right now, which is even more confusing because the Dow has almost the identical large holdings, almost identical holdings to Qs, but it's this red today with NVIDIA being up as much as it is. It's a very weird red day, to say the least. Different market calculations, but still, yeah. I mean, YM has 20 holdings, right? And of those 20 holdings, a very significant holding, semiconductors. Same exact thing for Qs, though. Semiconductors are probably 30% of what QQQ holds. And QQQ said, nah, screw you. I'm going to push up like this. We can go look at the YM heat map as well. I want DIA, please. Yeah, like, this makes no sense. I'm confused. This doesn't have any of the red semiconductors on it, and NVIDIA is like 15% of the Dow. Microsoft is another 12% of the Dow. So you have 27% of the Dow is up 2.5% today. Apple's massively green, and then the rest of it's all red. Amazon, Walmart, JP Morgan, Johnson & Johnson, Merrick Health. And Q's is still... I know the urge to, because I've been in this position so many times where I would just go over to M&Q's chart and be like married to a bearish bias on NQ. I would have 2 years ago, I would have married a bearish bias right now and just continued to short. And I would go in short, put a 20-point stop loss, go in short, put another 20-point stop loss, short, short, short. Yeah, I didn't always used to know that stat, though, that 80% of the time the trend continues in that direction. We're going to go to 700 right now, 100%. Yep. It's one of the, there's 700. Just hit it, 710. And SPY has still yet to take a new high a day. So if Qs has any rejection whatsoever, SPY is going probably back down the low a day. Gold just about hitting high a day as well. MCL dying, dead in the water. QQQ finally getting a rejection, but this is probably going to 29,000. I only use NQ and ES. And there's that rejection spies right back at the midpoint of the IB. I don't like adding too much on. So YM and I know James, he likes to use the German index as well. The DAC, I think is what it's called. Someone in chat just said 30K. If we hit 30,000, I don't even know. I'll do a forfeit with whatever chat has. We hit 28,000 this Monday, mind you. Monday this week we were at 28,000 on M&Q. That was our first time hitting 28K. Monday's open this week. Tuesday's open this week, sorry. Tuesday's open this week. We hit 28,000 and we are 100 points away from hitting 29,000. If we hit 30,000 tomorrow, I'll quit trading. No more for me. This is unbelievable. There's a new high day on gold as well. I mean, really, just go long. That's it. Every pullback on a day like this, just go long. And you will not believe how much that would help you. DAX is going lower. Tax revenues are going down already. Breaking news in Germany. 1K weeks now? Yeah. Am I trading the IB today? No, because NFP's tomorrow. This tip will help you more than anything, I hope. If you are the person that struggles with shorting all-time high markets, so right now your first instinct and your only instinct for today is to go short on every push-up that we have. Try for one day. Today would be a great example. Try for one day to go long on pullbacks. So this 1 minute time frame, if I had just gone long there, I would have made, let's say, $200 if I was sized in pretty heavy. If I go in with 1 mini, enter on every red candle that you see and stop trading when you hit 2 losses for the day. And watch how, for these trend days like this, watch how much your P&L will change. That's how I went on that $20,000 run with Lucid. And the same thing with Apex as well. Trading trends like this, as opposed to calling BS on them the entire time, every pullback. And I know it feels icky because you're longing at all-time highs, or you're longing when you have every indicator telling you not to. You have your RSIs at a significant level. If we did pull up RSI right now, relative strength index, RSI is through the roof. This is overbought. We're at 77. If I pull up VWAP isn't even remotely close to where we are. VWAP's all the way down at 28,750 right now. I know it feels icky, and I know you're going to be like, why the hell am I longing right now? If you go long on these pullbacks and put a 20-point stop in, watch how much that changes what your P&L does, as opposed to going short. When I made that change, that's when my P&L started going up massively. And that's exactly when I started making these consistent payouts over and over again. Like the IB or the London 50 or really anything in general for bias. Instead of going short, try long on a pullback. Even if it's just 20 points and then put a 20-point stop on it. If you hit 2 losses for the day, be done after that. But trends like this will continue longer than you can imagine. That's the biggest downside I see people get into, is that they try to counter a trend over and over and over and over and over, and then by the time they get to their fifth or sixth loss, or by the time you finally do go long and you jump in trend, then you get your pullback, which you should have been longing on that pullback. But do not be the person that tries to short all-time highs repeatedly, because you will constantly blow your accounts. Besides NFP news, what other criteria do you have for not getting the IB trade? Just simply SPY and Q's divergence right now. We have a minute until the IB closes. There's very little chance that SPY is going to take a new high in that next minute. QQQ probably very easily going to take that high. It's 10 points away with the strength that this has right now. It should probably blast through it right at 10:30. SPY is a short bias right now. Q's is a long bias. So there's no reason for us to try and pick and choose which one's going to be right, which one's going to be wrong. Now, as I say that Q should go and take that high, I have seen days where Q's is this strong and it still goes and takes the low. And those, we had one day like that on Tuesday, and I blew probably 10 different accounts. 2 sets of accounts I blew because I was copy trading them. But great example from Thursday last week. Look how close we were to breaking the downside of the IB. SPY was bullish, Q's was bearish. We missed the IB low on Q's by a whopping 6 points. We hit 27,171. The IB low was at 27,164. 7 points. 6 points, sorry, I was right. Not 7 points. I'm all over the place. 7 points is what we missed the IB low by, and we went and took the IB high. So today it could happen. The IB high is the target. SPY is targeting the IB low. We could have some kind of news. We could just drop like a rock for the next 2 hours. It's not a guarantee that it's going to go to the high, but it's very likely that Q should go and take the high. Still not a guarantee. But I am not going to A, long this because we have divergence between SPY and Qs. B, no reason to get into this because we have NFP tomorrow. Mainly the divergence that we have on SPY and Qs is the reason that I'm not getting in. Qs should take SPY up with it. Shockingly, I can't believe I'm saying that, but Q should go and take the high. SPY should also go and take the high. And then David, you can get your IB counter stat. What do you risk per trade? I tried to risk about 120 on a 1K drawdown. You can go on to Edgeful's risk calculator for this. If I'm trading a 50K account, which is really 2K in drawdown, I like to risk 240 or 12% of the account per trade. I know that sounds like a steep measure, but I only have a 1 to 6% chance of losing the account with how accurate the IB is. I may be a bit sarcastic when I keep saying go long, that you can't lose, but it's the trend following in reality. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm not judging you for it. I would also be entertaining longs right now if we didn't have NFP tomorrow and they were lined up, but this will probably just shoot right up to that high, and then we take 28.9 and that's it for the day. And then NFP probably gives us 29,000 tomorrow. Crazy enough to say. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Longing right now sounds sick. It sounds twisted to go. I'm going to go long when we're this overextended. Price has gone up for X amount of time. The market will continue to go in that direction longer than you can fathom. And your sim account is not going to dictate what the market's going to do. Or the vast majority. 30,000, yeah, that would be insane. But it's only 1,000 points away, and we moved 1,000 points this week. Are you considering this long today? I think it's going to go and hit 28, 29, 28,900. I know it's crazy to say because we're already this extended to the upside, but again, it will continue longer than you can fathom. Disgustingly. So you're not trading today? No. No trades from me too. What the heck was that? Siri is going nuts recently. I'm not even saying anything remotely close to Siri, and it just yells at me like that. Here comes our high. SPY should also go and take that same high. It may pull back a little bit more than where it is right now, but I think it's probably going to blast right through that. How many micros do I trade? Whatever the risk is. For today, it would be 1 micro because of how large for a range we're looking at. This is a 100-point range. So it would be 1 micro for the risk on a 50K. That'd be $200 on MNQ. For MES, though, MES is looking at a 70-cent IB. So we go over to MES. 392 up to 7,400. 7,400. So this is 8 points. If you risked 1 micro with 8 points, that's a $40 risk reward. So SPY, you can size up to 4 micros for that. And that would be $160. You might even be able to go all the way up to 6 micros. Nice job, kid. You're going to be a millionaire at your 30s. I sure hope so. I'm already pretty content with my life right now. Just hit 885. SPY's still not budging at all. So 200 is your risk per trade. Yes, this is what these are my risk calculator parameters on Edgeful. This is a free tool, by the way. So if you guys just go to edgeful.com/risk calculator, this URL right here, this is all free. You don't have to put any credit card or any payment information into. I think it's just your emails. The only thing you have to put in. If I am trading on a $1,000 account, a 25K prop account, I like to risk about 120 per trade, 12% of the account. I know it's a lot. With these accounts, the recommended risk is 40, because if you risk 40, there's essentially 0 chance across the board that you blow the account if you trade responsibly. When I went on the Apex run, my risk per trade was about $75. So 7.5% of the account. And even with a 50% win rate, I had a 1% chance of losing them. When I break these rules and I overtrade or over leverage, that's when I lose accounts. My sweet spot has been 120. The IB is within a 60 to 70% win rate. So I only have a 1 to 6% chance of blowing the account of 8 consecutive losses. The longest losing streak I've gone on with the IB has been 3. And it did stink, but I managed to hold through and not lose any of the accounts when that happened. Now on the 50K accounts, it's the same math. You just double the risk. So it's 240 instead of 120. And then the way that I manipulate this to get as close to 240 as I can, again, on Qs today, M and Q, if we went long at the midpoint, if it somehow did get down to the midpoint, our risk reward would be 100 points. So we're looking at a move of 95 points. 1-to-1 risk reward, 95-point risk reward. So we're risking $180 on 1 micro. Or you can go over to SPY, and let's say, for example, SPY was lined up today. MES is almost always half the risk of MNQ. So if we went long on MES, same concept. Today's range, 8.25. So that means our risk on this trade would be about $40 per micro. Our risk on M&Q would be about $180 per micro, 190. We can take 1 micro and no more on M&Q for $180 risk, $190 risk. Or we can go over to MES. It's $40 per micro. If I want to get up to 240 for a risk reward, that's 6 micros I would trade on M&Q. Or MES, sorry, not M&Q. M&Q, if I wanted to size up and take 2, then that's too much, and I'm not going to be able to take that trade. Here comes our high, 93, 94, 95. Needs to push up another 3 points. Almost there. I hope that answered any question you had regarding the risk. That's how I take all my trades. The risk is about the same across the board, 240, 12% of the account. If I was trading on a personal account, it would be much less, because personal accounts, you don't have any of the rules that prop firms have. For my funded futures, for example, if you don't trade 7 days in a row, high just got blown through, by the way. If you don't trade for 7 days on my funded futures, they close your account, which is ridiculous, but they do. For anything else, if you don't trade aggressive enough, you're going to get rebilled for the month. If you don't trade, if you over trade, if you're overly aggressive, then you're going to lose the account from blowing it. There's 7,400 on SPY as well. So highs taken on both of them. Gold's about the only thing that's still intact right now. Now I would no longer be looking to go long. The trend, I think, should die down pretty significantly from here. We're 90 points off of 29,000 though. Crazy enough. Took that advice you just gave, buying the pullback, took 20 points on an eval, 28,893 was the target, 20 point stop. Very nice AL. So continuing on that point, drop a 1 in chat if you went long. You don't have to say if you did or not, but drop a 1 in chat if the idea of going long all the way up here when price is vertical is icky to you. If that gives you a bad feeling, like this is not what I should be doing, I should not be going long right now. Bunch of 1s. So that idea, that ideology that you have with going long or going short, you cannot inverse the trend. You can't do it. You need to respect the trend and understand that the trend will continue going in that direction longer than you can fathom. It will not inverse on its own like that. So if we're bullish on the trends, your sim account is not going to cause that to. I'm going to pivot now just because your sim profits are telling me to. So that makes me feel disgusting going long up here. And it was a really, really difficult change to make in my trading strategy. But if I go down to the 1 minute, what happened if we were to go long on every red candle after 9 o'clock this morning? 10 o'clock, sorry. Forgot this is an hour delayed. If we went long on every red candle, our reward Our risk would be about 20 points. We can risk $20, 20 points on a red candle. Our reward was almost 100 points every time. So if we went short, we got obliterated today. If we went long on every red candle after 10 o'clock, let's say we got a pretty bad entry on this red candle, 28,737, 20-point stop. We never hit 28,718, and then our reward was a move up of 95 points. Same exact thing. Another red candle at 9:58, we go long. Our reward was another 95 points. Another red candle at 10:15, go long. Another 75-point reward. You can trail aggressively, or you can just understand that the trend is going to continue the majority of the time. You don't have to trail that aggressively for it, but just know that price is not going to reverse on a dime. It's going to have several indicators that say, okay, we're going to reverse here because of this reason. We're going to reverse here because of this reason. We're going to reverse here because of this reason. For a day like today, price isn't just going to go and all of a sudden we have a 200-point drop. We go and take the IB low without news or some kind of catalyst. If that does happen, you have ample time to get out of your position. There's no reason that you need to hold that position going through all that drawdown. Now, if it is a news move, you might get a little unlucky and it might continue to drop on you. But for the most part, if you just hold and you continue to buy that trend, the trend will reward you. It's going to reward you for going long repeatedly. Like right now, a great example again. If you had tried shorting because we took the IB high, you got destroyed again. 15-point pullback though, you go long on that, you put a 20-point stop, now you're up 20 points. And you can do that repeatedly throughout the day. Check copper. I don't think I've ever once looked at copper. What's the ticker for it? HG. Copper futures. You could try the IB short on it. It looks like it already took it though, right at 10:30. Took it by a penny. Or a tenth of a penny. I trailed aggressively yesterday afternoon and missed out huge. It's a tricky concept to mix in. I don't usually like to trail my stops up. I like to take it and leave the stop where it is. Anytime that I move my stop to break even, I almost always get stopped out at break even. And then I'm more inclined to tilt because I want to get the profit that I was up. And then I'm just mad for the rest of the day. It's a bad cycle to go through. Bad cycle to go through. MCL has a huge range on the IB right now. It's right at the midpoint though. This one could be decently good to play. And just as you think Qs can't go up anymore, watch this make a 0.5% continuation up today, and we go up to 29,000. You'll be in disbelief with how long this trend can continue. Especially because it's not just, it's only Qs pushing to the upside like that. It's not anything else. Qs is one of the only indices right now that is pushing this way. YM, or I guess SPY is green, we'll give it that. But YM, massively red. We can also look at the Russell, IWM. down 0.5%. SPY up 0.2 and Q's up 0.6. That's one of the only things that is pushing right now. I was kicked out of a trade, just an auto exit thanks to trade evade, re-entered, and once I was back up and past break even, I trailed super tight, another 5 points, and I could have caught the next 100 points. That's pretty unfortunate. This isn't me advocating to go long right now, but I'm just saying, keeping with that trend for the day, this would be a pullback to go long into, as opposed to reading this as price is finally pivoting. I'm going to go short right now, and I'm going to go short with some size because I'm sick of this trend to the upside. So now that this candle's closed, you can go long, have like a 20-point stop loss on it. If it hits your stop loss, you should have just capitalized on that entire trend up. If not, don't over trade this. The IB is done, so there's no draw to the upside anymore. The only reason that we would continue up is with how powerful this trend might be. That's it. Only real short is after a double. Yeah, that too. Very true. The only real short would be after a double break in the IB. I need a little help understanding consistency rule on a funded account. Let's say I have a 25K growth and it's my first trading session. What would your target be? I don't target any profit total. So I just trade and then worry about the consistency after. 35% consistency on Tradeify accounts and 40% consistency on Lucid accounts. So if you have, let's say your total profit target is $3,000. Your 40% consistency for that is essentially you need to reach that 3,000 profit target in 3 days. 35% consistency, same thing, it's just a little bit tighter. For the 25K growth, I think your profit target's 1,000 for a payout. To reach $1,000, you have to do it in at minimum 3 days. Anything over that, your best day has to be less than 35% of your total profits. So $1,000 profit, if you do $1,000 in 1 day, 35% of that, you're going to have to make almost 3,000 before you can qualify for that payout. So I like to 35 and 40% consistency rules, split it up into 3 days. 20% consistency rules, which is what they have on instant funded accounts, split that up into 5 days. And then just stay clear of top one futures because they have like I think it's 15% consistency. But the benefit is that you get to trade 10 different accounts. But 15% consistency is at minimum 7 trading days to reach your profit requirement. 7 or 8 trading days. And yet again, right there, perfect example of what I'm talking about. Staying with the trend. I know it feels disgusting. I know how icky it feels to go long right there. But probably a lot of resets or a lot of blown accounts just now off of going over leverage to the downside because, hey, it's the first sizable red candle we've had all day. And then what happens? We're just about back at all-time highs or high a day again. So that's the point that I'm trying to make is that if you do lose on it, you have like a 20-point risk. So you're risking $80 on 2 micros or 120 on 3 micros. I like to do those with 4. So my risk is like 160. Keep in mind that I like to risk about 120 to 240 depending on the account size. If I lose 2 of those trades, I'm done. Absolutely done. No more trading after that. But most of the time when the trend is this strong, you will win 80% of the time on those pullbacks. I never take partials. I always take full TP. Partials typically lead to just lost profit. If you take partials, you're more likely to have price trend back down to your break-even stop loss. on the remaining portion. So if you take like 75% of your profits and then the other 25% goes at break even, you really only made 50% of what your total risk was on the trade. Taking partials also leads to negative risk reward overall. The only true way to have one-to-one risk reward is either having your stop loss or your TP hit, not altering your stop loss at all, not altering your TP at all. I still struggle with not securing early. So I'll secure like 5 to 10 points early most of the time, 20 points early sometimes. So technically I am trading negative risk reward, but like Ike always says, your bank account does not care what your risk reward is. Money in, money out, the same way. And just like that, back to Hive Day. Instead of going short with that red candle that we just had, wait for it to close, go long, have a 20-point stop. The entry that I just mentioned would have been 28,816. 28,886. So the stop on that trade would have been 28,66. 28,866, 20 points. And then your reward is whatever, you're up 30 points right now. That's how you go about trading trends the correct way, as opposed to being the person that continuously tries shorting this and then you get upset as to why you're not getting any payouts. Don't be silly. New high day. Just like that. Just long the red candle and got out for 20 points. Now I'm done for the day. Thanks for sharing that, Zinc. No problem. I thought bank accounts don't accept payouts that were made with negative risk reward. Mine doesn't. My bank account doesn't accept ICT profits. It doesn't accept negative risk reward profits. It only accepts IB profits and trend profits. That's it. It's the only two that I can get from my bank account. And also, yet again, the point that I'm going to continue to make this stream, this will continue going in this direction longer than you can fathom. This is not going to inverse just because I need it to. I'm going short because price needs to pull back. This can, the next candle could print 60 points to the upside. We take 29,000 and you're there with your jaw on the floor. And the reason I'm saying this so much is because I've been in that exact boat where I continuously short and short and short and short and just churn through accounts like crazy because I refuse to go long with a trend like this. And then next thing we know, price is chilling at all-time highs again and again and again and again and again. Oh man, it does kind of suck that we're just trending in this fashion. I'm not that big of a fan of trend days like this. I do like playing them, but it is very difficult to Inverse it. Great tips, thanks, Hank. Do you usually wait for a specific time before deciding to trade the trend? No, I mean it's as simple as just looking at the chart. What would a kid say if you gave them this chart and you ask them what the direction is? It's an honest question. What would a kid say if you ask them, is this chart bullish or bearish? Is this chart going up or is it going down? Probably every single one of them, unless something's wrong with them, they're going to say the chart's going up. Do not overthink it, and don't try to be like, well, it's going up, but the reason it's going up isn't really that valid because it's actually only a continuation to this amount and this quantity and yada yada. You don't be the type of person that tries to overcomplicate it, because it is going to cause you to lose repeatedly. So just respect that the trend is going to the upside. Say, hey, this trend's very clearly going to the upside. There's no ifs, then, and buts. So I'm going to continue to trade at the upside. There's no complex thinking that goes into it. There's no reason to look at this chart and be like, it's going up, but it's not validating to me why it's going up. So I'm not going to trade it in that fashion. Don't do that. Just respect that it is going to the upside. That's it. Yes, taking current day high, so maybe a pause. Probably not. 29,000 is going to be the draw for today. I'm going to ask my kid to set my bias from now on. It's funny to think about, but that's how simple the thinking I have that goes into the market is. I do not have, and I repeat, I do not have any complex thinking that goes into the IB, any complex thinking that goes into trend trading. Nothing. I look at this chart and I see very clearly this is a bullish chart. The IB is bullish. We're going to go long. The only instance that I go short today is if I get knocked upside the head and someone reminds me that trading needs complex thinking. That's the only instance I'm going to go short. This is a day where you backtest it and looks like an easy read, but actually difficult with the divergence. Yeah. I mean, I didn't take it because of the divergence on SPY and Qs. Whatever. It is what it is. But you can also have a different set of accounts where you go a little more aggressive with it. So accounts that you don't need to respect all of your rules. I know that seems like poor risk management or a poor suggestion, but diversify your accounts and trade some a little more aggressive than you would the other one, or vice versa. Well, we are to the end of the segment. I didn't even realize. That will do it for me today, everyone. I don't have anything else to cover. I thought that was a terrific segment today. Any questions? Feel free to DM me, tag me in the Discord. Next stop, 29,000, 100%. I will see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you on Tuesday next week. I do have that My Finance segment tomorrow. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Andre may be live tomorrow. See you guys later.